Hey there, it's Transition Tuesday, and I'm Jane. Joe is on vacation. It's summertime, but I have my coworker and friend Cheyenne Thornton. She is the coordinator for our White County Family Connection, and we're going to talk about I don't know if you can see this, foster parenting and transitions. Cheyenne is a foster parent in addition to the work she does with Family Connections. And we're just going to chat about a couple of things. Is there anything you want to say? Anything coming up about
I don't think
Family
so.
Connections?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right. We're going to dive right in. So how long have you been a foster parent now?
I have been a foster parent for 2 years and some change, and I've had 13 children come through my home.
Okay. And we are not mentioning children's names because of privacy, so we're going to talk in sort of abstract, general terms. So when you became a foster parent, did you intentionally accept temporary guardianship of a child with a disability, or did it just, you found out after?
So I did not. I will say, when you go through the process to become a foster parent, you get to decide what you feel comfortable saying yes to and what you feel comfortable saying no to. And I had put no to children with disabilities, and that was specifically because I am a single foster parent, and so I felt I was already going to have a very difficult time as a single parent dealing with kids with trauma, so then adding more on top of it that I don't know a ton about really intimidated me. So I did say no. However, DFACS will still call you for children outside of your yeses and nos, and you still have the ability to say no. But they called me about the particular child that I have now, and they said, hey, we have a little girl who is, I think they told me she was 6. We have a little girl who's 6, and she's a little bit behind in school. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. The next phone call I got was, well, she's verbal. So I was like,
that's good.
And she's 7. So she was verbal and 7, not a little behind in school and 6. And
okay.
So then, and that was in the span of an hour.
You know what? I'm going to fix the camera. Okay, go.
Oh,
sorry. Go.
And so I really didn't know what was going to show up at my home. But what showed up was a child who was just moderately developmentally delayed.
Yeah. Okay. And fabulous,
and
by the way.
Fabulous. She had this big afro. She had her cowboy boots on. I was like, oh, man.
Oh, she is a diva. And we all love her around here at the special ed office. So how challenging was it to learn on the fly about special education services, therapies, all those kinds of things that come along with somebody who is verbal but maybe has some delays, or a child that has dealt with trauma and is maybe developmentally delayed because of that?
I would say it was fairly difficult just learning terms. Like, I knew IEP meant individualized education plan. I did not know what that meant. So it was a lot of new things that I was having to learn. But I would say the hardest thing was my own biases. So I had a lot of things in my head that I didn't necessarily knew that I believed about children with special needs. And so I thought, it's better for them to have their own particular classroom. It's better for them to be with children who are on their developmental level. And so those types of things is how I operated in the beginning, until I knew and came to understand it's actually not best for every child, and that's not best for my child. So yes, it was difficult learning all of those things, but the biggest hurdle was just getting over my own biases, to be honest.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. And I wonder sometimes if a lot of foster parents choose in the little box, yes or no, because of biases. I mean, I became a special needs mom because I became a mom and my child had special needs. So that's how most of us become parents of a child with a disability. And with fostering, it's a little different situation. What resources were most helpful to you?
Well, I would say it was really helpful. Yeah, you had printed me out a lot of information You were willing to go to the IEP meetings with me. That was super helpful. So having a parent mentor at the school was very helpful. And then I would say her teachers were a huge resource to me, just informing me about different things that I should know about IEPs and things along those lines, helping me with things at home. Like in the morning, she has a really hard time staying on task, and so they helped me with different things. We created a visual board, social stories, those types of things. I didn't know those words. The people have been the greatest help to me. I wouldn't say I read a ton of books or did a ton of research. It was more just meeting with people who know about children with special needs.
So networking was very important. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. So tell me a little bit about the behavior challenges, and do you think, and it may be hard for you to know this because every child is different, but do you think that most of the behavior challenges relate to the early trauma or the disability, or tell me about some of the behavior challenges?
I love this question because it made me think really deeply about it, like whether or not it was disability, trauma, and I came to the conclusion that her trauma manifests itself in no different way than any other child. Her disability or her special need does not affect. It doesn't make it any different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I was like, wow, okay. It just made me think, wow, I've been intimidated about something that isn't any different from any other child. I would just say, her behaviors require a lot more patience. That's it. She can't stay on task. She can't remember things. I have to say things about 45, 50, 67 times, until she can remember. But as far as the trauma itself, she does scream and she does yell and she does slam doors, but that's not any different than any other child.
Right.
Honestly, a child who hasn't experienced trauma and a child who has.
Exactly.
She does use some foul language that she's heard in the past, which again is not different from any other child. So I have found that it really isn't very different, minus just the fact of the patience that's required for her specific special needs. She just can't remember things.
So routines.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Planning ahead.
Routines are, well, I will say the routines of the stuff that matters. So her tasks in the morning, it's the same every single day. And some days she does them really well, and some days she doesn't. Like yesterday, she did all of her tasks. Everybody should know, she did all of her tasks without me saying one thing.
Wow.
I did not have to prompt one activity.
Wow.
She's outside my window right now, just smiling. But she did all of them without one prompt, and that is huge. She's been with me for 15 months, and she has never done that.
So do you have like a visual chore chart, or what? How does she know what her task list is?
I did. So I did create one for her. I had, it had a picture, it said the word, and it had a picture, and she colored all the pictures, so she was a part of making the chore chart.
Okay.
And then it has a place where you finish the task, you close it, and it says done with a check mark. And so she's able to do the task, close it. And I did that because she was actually forgetting to put on like deodorant every single day.
Yeah.
And so it helped her. I would be like, hey, go to your chore chart. Like, what have you not done? She's like, oh, my deodorant. And she would go back, do the deodorant.
So is it paper, electronic? What?
It's paper, and it's in a
paper.
room.
Okay, so it's like little Velcro things. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And so rote memory, because she does the same thing in the same order every day, and now yesterday she got it.
Yeah, today she did not.
Okay.
But it's okay, because
it's
yesterday
okay.
she did.
But that's okay. I mean, I forget to brush my teeth. I didn't today. But sometimes I do. So when you foster a child with a developmental disability, you've obviously, you're all in. You're doing everything you need to do, but how, you're not going to be the permanent home, which isn't always the case, but in this particular case you are not.
Yeah.
How do you prep that child for the transition? And is there a process, or how do you do that? And you've done it before, so.
It is, let me just say, it is very difficult. It's very hard to be able to have to say to a child, I do not know what your future holds. But all I can really say to her is that this is not your forever home. She has her tummy mommy, and she calls me her heart mommy because she grew in my heart, and then she's going to have her forever mommy. And so we just have a lot of very honest conversations, and we have them a lot. So whenever she brings it up, really, mostly it's her, not me. every so often I will just be like, how are you feeling about this? And so we can talk about it. For the most part, she brings it up, and I'm just honest with her. There is still a chance. Well, that's I actually probably can't get into that because I think that's HIPAA. But we just have a lot of very honest, consistent conversations about her future, and I'm as honest as I possibly can be with her about it. And she knows. She knows. I'll be like, who am I? And she's like, you're my heart, Mommy. That's what she says. Because I grew in your heart, and it's so sweet.
Yeah, that is really sweet. But I think that's really important. Like any other transition is preparation, talking about it, giving the person who's going to go through the transition, which you are too, but in a little different way, giving that child the tools they need to, function through the process, before the process, after the process. Are you allowed to connect with her at all after she goes to her forever home?
It'll depend on the parent.
Okay.
So most of my placements have gone back to their biological parents, and some of them let me continue to talk to the children, and then some of them, not that they don't want to.
So it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it depends on the adoptive family.
So what can you suggest for families who are considering becoming foster parents?
Do it, is what I would say. I would read up a lot of information before I would go too far. So I would read books like, there's a book called The Connected Child, and it's just how to discipline and how to care for a child with severe trauma. There's books like The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, which talks a lot about trauma. I think the more study you can do on how trauma affects children is going to be just the best. And then second to that would be just getting involved with foster families, so you can see it's not as intimidating as it may be, as it may sound. Every child is different. I've had children who have had extreme trauma, and that manifested itself in extreme behaviors. But I've also had children who were so, who did not have that. That is not how their trauma manifested. They were very kind and calm and obedient, and there wasn't, you wouldn't have known that they had experienced trauma by their behaviors. And then just
we're peeking outside the door just to keep an eye on our girl.
So those two things I think are the most important. Just watching foster families, being around foster children, and then doing as much education for yourself as you can, because it's not as intimidating as it may seem.
So step one would be Google foster parenting, or?
That's a good question. I guess it depends on what area you're in, but you can call, I think it's 1-855 Georgia Child, maybe.
Okay.
And you can call and ask about fostering. And then you can email me too, and Jane can give my email about if you're wanting to talk to someone about it. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about fostering.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So awesome. I'm so excited about this. So if you have any questions, of course, I welcome you to comment in the Facebook section. You can private message me. You can send an email to transition2s@gmail.com, or you can look at other episodes of our Transition Tuesday videos on Transition Tuesdays with Jane and Joe on YouTube. And I want to thank you again, Cheyenne. This was so awesome.
Thank you.
Become a foster parent, and see you next time.
Bye.